Did you know that everything you desire, absolutely everything, is already possible for you right now? Not in 5 years' time. Not after you complete that course. Not when you have more money. It's now. The profound truth is this: you already carry within you everything needed to achieve whatever you truly want. The problem is that most people never access this power. And what I'm going to show you today will quite literally turn your thinking upside down and has the potential to transform your life forever. Have you ever wondered why, even though you know what you should do to improve your life, you simply don't do it? Why, despite having access to endless information, courses, books, and videos, things somehow stay the same? I asked myself this question many years ago. And the answer shocked me: the issue isn't in what you consciously know. The real issue lies in what has been programmed into your subconscious. Ever since I began studying personal development, I discovered something that changed absolutely everything. We are governed by paradigms. Paradigms are mental programs. Patterns that were embedded into your mind from early childhood. Even before the age of 5, you were already being shaped by what you saw, heard, and felt in the environment around you. These paradigms influence how you think, how you behave, how you feel, and ultimately, how you live. They shape how you relate to money, how you perceive success, and how you respond to difficulties. What's most surprising is that, in most cases, these beliefs were adopted without your conscious consent. You simply accepted them, without questioning. How many times have you heard things like, "Money doesn't grow on trees, you've got to work hard to deserve anything," or "People like us don't get lucky"? These phrases may seem harmless, but they quietly create a mindset of lack, fear, and limitation. And what happens? You grow up, you try hard, you study, you fight, but you feel stuck in an invisible cycle. As if some unseen force pulls you backwards every time you try to move forward. You know exactly what I'm talking about, don't you? How many times have you started a new project full of motivation and energy, only to see it collapse after a few weeks? How often have you promised yourself that this time, you'd really change, only to find yourself slipping back into old habits, almost as if on autopilot? This isn't due to lack of skill. It's not a question of intelligence. It's the paradigm at work. Quietly. Invisibly. But incredibly powerfully. For years of my life, I was completely trapped in destructive paradigms. I had debts that exceeded the equivalent of approximately £1,000 sterling. I worked in low-paying jobs with no prospects of growth. And, worst of all, deep inside, I believed that this was the life I was destined for. Until one day, almost by chance, I stumbled upon information that changed everything. I began studying the work of Napoleon Hill and realized that it wasn't the world that needed to change for me to become wealthy, it was me. It was my inner programming. I remember the moment clearly. I was sitting alone, staring at my bills, completely overwhelmed, and then, suddenly, it hit me. The problem wasn't money. It was my beliefs about money. It was what I believed about myself. That realization sparked an unquenchable thirst for transformation. I dived deep into the study of paradigms. And I learned that if I wanted to change my life, I had to reprogram my mind. Today, neuroscience confirms it. Research shows that 95% of our daily decisions are made automatically, based on subconscious habits and patterns. It's not about willpower. It's about changing the programming. So if you feel stuck, if life seems like a never-ending loop of frustration and failed attempts, know this: it's not your fault. It's the paradigm at work. But here's the best news I could give you: paradigms can be changed. Not overnight. Not by chance. But deliberately, persistently, through new patterns of thought, repeated actions, and daily visualizations. The first thing you need to do is observe your own life. Ask yourself, what results do I keep getting, even though I don't want them? What behaviors do I repeat, even though I know they are harmful? What did my parents, teachers, and society teach me about success, money, and happiness? These answers will begin to reveal your current paradigm. And once you see the paradigm, once you recognize it, you gain power over it. You begin to understand that the fear you feel isn't real. That the doubt holding you back isn't natural. That procrastination isn't a flaw in your character, it's a learned pattern. And then, you can start the process of replacing it. Build new habits. Repeat new beliefs. Visualize new realities. Most people never reach this point. They live and die imprisoned by paradigms they never chose. But you don't have to be one of them. You can consciously choose which paradigms to install. You can train your mind to embrace abundance, success, and fulfillment as something natural. Want a real example? Thomas Edison, the inventor of the electric light bulb, failed more than 1,000 times before he succeeded. Most people would have given up after the first or second try. But Edison had a completely different mindset. He saw every failure as another step closer to success. It was that internal programming that made him one of the greatest inventors in history. Now imagine if you could install in your mind a pattern of perseverance, success, and wealth. Imagine that instead of being pulled backwards every time you try to grow, you were naturally propelled forwards. That is exactly what is possible and what I want you to begin building from today. Remember, it doesn't matter where you are right now. What matters is what you choose to change from this moment onwards. The question I leave you with is, are you going to keep letting your old paradigms control your life, or are you going to take the reins from this point on? The choice is yours. And your new life begins with the decision you make today. Most people believe they need to wait for perfect conditions before taking action. They think they need more money, more knowledge, more contacts, more security, and so they spend their entire lives waiting. What they fail to realize is that life doesn't wait. Time isn't going to stop until you feel ready. And the perfect opportunity is never going to arrive wrapped like a gift, with a note that says, "Now is the time." That never happened to me, and I can guarantee it won't happen to you either. I discovered there's an invisible line that separates those who achieve great results from those who stay trapped in excuses. That line is called decision. A real, firm, non-negotiable decision. The kind of decision you make and never look back from. You burn the bridges. You leave no space for a plan B. You either go all the way or you go all the way. It really is that simple. You've probably heard people say, "One day I'll start my own business." Or, "Someday I'll write my book." And then, years later, you meet that same person and they are still saying the same thing without having taken a single step. That happens because they never actually made a real decision. Decision isn't positive thinking. Decision is action. I remember clearly the first time I made a real decision in my life. I was in debt, completely lost, working in low-paying jobs, unable to see a way out. When I began studying the works of Napoleon Hill, I realized, if I keep thinking the way I've always thought, I'll keep living the way I've always lived. That day, I decided that my life would change. No money, no university degree, no logical reason to believe it could happen. But I decided anyway. I wrote my goals on a piece of paper. I put that paper in my pocket and carried it with me every day. I visualized, I read it, I felt it. And most importantly, I started acting as if it were already my reality. Even when everything around me said otherwise. That decision, which seemed simple on the surface, changed the course of my life. I started working as an office cleaner. It wasn't a glamorous job, but I treated every task as if I were building my empire. Slowly, new opportunities began to appear. People started to notice me. And at a certain point, someone introduced me to a sales opportunity. That's when everything truly began to change. Now think about this, how many times have you held back because you were waiting to feel more confident? To know more? To have more guarantees? Let me tell you a secret, confidence comes after the decision, not before. Knowledge grows with experience. And guarantees, well, they simply don't exist. Do you think Jeff Bezos, when he started Amazon in a garage, was absolutely certain he would become one of the richest men in the world? Of course not. What he had was a firm decision to try, to take a risk, and to build something greater than what he could see at the time. And he took action. When you make a true decision, the entire universe begins to conspire in your favor. I've seen it happen to me. I've seen it happen to thousands of clients I've coached across decades and countries. And I can say with absolute certainty, all you need to do is decide. There's even a study from the University of Scranton which shows that only around 8% of people actually achieve their New Year's resolutions. 8%. And do you know the main reason that number is so low? Lack of a true decision. People make empty promises to themselves but don't truly commit. They say, it would be nice if it happened, instead of declaring, it will happen because I will make it happen. So I want you to look at your life right now and ask yourself, what have I been putting off? What dreams have I left on the shelf, waiting for the perfect moment? Isn't it time to stop waiting and simply decide? I know it might be scary. A real decision always comes with fear. That's normal. But understand this, fear is just the gatekeeper to your next great breakthrough. When you feel fear, it's a sign you're on the right path. Because you're stepping out of your comfort zone. You're entering unknown territory, and that's the only place where real growth happens. I'm not telling you to act recklessly. This isn't about impulsive decisions driven by emotion. It's about a conscious, deliberate decision, one that you honor through action, every single day. And it doesn't need to be massive. Decide to start small. Decide to wake up an hour earlier. Decide to spend around 15 minutes each day studying the thing you want to master. Decide to make that call you've been putting off for months. Every small decision sets something in motion. And every bit of motion opens the door to new possibilities. That's exactly how I built the life I live today. I started small, but with determination. And each small decision, added to the next, and then another, created a momentum that carried me to places I could never have imagined. So here's my invitation to you, stop bargaining with your dreams. Stop waiting for perfect conditions. They don't exist. Decide today. Not tomorrow. Not on Monday. Not next month. Decide now that you are going to live the life you were born to live. And commit to taking action every day, even if it's just a small step. Because what you want is already possible. It's simply waiting for you to decide to go and claim it. What will you decide today? People often say they need more time. That if they had more hours in the day, they could finally get their life together. But that's one of the biggest illusions we've been taught to believe. Time is the most democratic thing in the universe, 24 hours for me, 24 hours for you, 24 hours for the wealthiest and most successful people on the planet. The difference has never been time. It's always been what we choose to do with it. For many years, I too fell into that trap. I was constantly running around, always busy, always full of tasks, but at the end of the day, I would ask myself, what did I actually accomplish? I was exhausted, but my life wasn't moving forward. Until one day, during a conversation with Earl Nightingale, one of the most brilliant minds I've ever known, he said something that completely shifted my perspective. Bob, you can't manage time. You can only manage your activities. Those words echoed in my mind for days. The more I thought about them, the more sense they made. Time is what it is. It doesn't stretch or shrink. What changes is what we choose to fill it with. I realized I wasn't mismanaging my time, I was mismanaging my focus, my energy, my priorities. Has this ever happened to you? You spend hours replying to emails, solving minor problems, organizing paperwork, but the thing that could truly change your life, that important phone call, that long-term project, that action that would actually produce results, always gets pushed aside. By the end of the day, you feel busy, but empty. That's because we've become addicted to urgency. We're programmed to chase what screams the loudest, not what truly matters. That's why so many people are constantly busy, yet build nothing lasting. They confuse movement with progress. But being busy isn't the same as being productive. Change begins when you ask yourself, with brutal honesty, is what I'm doing right now bringing me closer to or pulling me further away from my biggest goals? If the answer is further away, stop. Now. Redirect your energy. When I started applying this in my own life, everything changed. I began structuring my days differently. Instead of starting the morning putting out fires, I started with the actions that, even if uncomfortable, were the ones that truly mattered. I would ask myself, if I could only do 3 things today, which 3 would have the biggest positive impact on my life and business? And then I would do those 3 things before anything else. At first, it was difficult. My old mindset kept trying to drag me back into autopilot, to get lost in small tasks. But I resisted. And the results began to show. In just a few months, my income increased. My free time expanded. My personal satisfaction soared. If you observe extremely successful people, you'll notice a common pattern. They treat their attention with sacred respect. They don't waste their energy on things that don't bring value. Elon Musk, for example, known for running multiple companies at once, is obsessed with prioritizing high-impact tasks. He focuses on solving the biggest problems first, even if they are the hardest. And on the flip side, look at people who are always stressed, constantly rushing around, but never seem to get anywhere. They are victims of their own lack of focus. They are consumed by trivial activities that drain their energy and destroy their dreams. Science backs this up. A study from Stanford University showed that multitasking reduces both efficiency and performance, because the human brain is not designed to handle multiple complex cognitive tasks at the same time. Those who try to do everything at once end up doing everything halfway. So if you feel like your days are never enough, that you're always firefighting, but your dreams keep drifting further away, stop now and take a look at your activities. Write down what truly matters. Eliminate the noise. Delegate what others can do. And focus only on what moves the needle in your life. The question I want you to ask yourself every morning is, what can I do today that brings me closer to the life I want to live? And then, do it, before anything else. It's a simple shift, but a revolutionary one. The kind of choice that turns ordinary months into extraordinary ones. Ordinary years into years that change an entire life. Remember, you don't need more time. You need to take more intentional action. You must become the manager of your own energy. And when you do that, you'll discover something remarkable. You've always had enough time. You just needed to use it to build the life you truly deserve. Most people believe that action alone is enough. That if they work hard and push themselves, eventually things will fall into place. But the truth is, action without direction is like rowing a boat with no compass. You might exhaust yourself, you might struggle relentlessly, but you'll likely end up going nowhere. There's a crucial element that must come before and during any action: visualization. I learned this the hard way. For a long time, I kept taking action, doing everything I could, yet I felt like I was going in circles. Until I discovered that the subconscious mind can't tell the difference between what's real and what's vividly imagined. When you visualize with emotion, with detail, with belief, your brain believes it's already happening. And then, you begin to act differently, attract different circumstances, and gradually become the person who is capable of achieving what you want. I've always carried a goal card with me. I would write on it what I wanted to accomplish. But it wasn't just about writing it down. It was about mentally living it every single day. I would read that card each morning and each night, feeling as if I had already achieved it. I imagined the feelings, the sounds, the smells, every part of it. That simple practice was without a doubt one of the greatest contributors to everything I've achieved. Now imagine, what would your life look like if you started visualizing the fulfillment of your greatest dreams every single day? Not just vaguely thinking about them, but actually seeing them, feeling them, truly believing them. Scientists studied Olympic athletes and discovered that when they precisely visualized their movements, the same muscles were activated as when they physically trained. The mind was creating muscle memory before any physical execution took place. Those athletes who combined physical training with intense visualization performed up to 45% better than those who only trained their bodies. If that works for the world's top athletes, imagine what it could do for your career, your business, your finances, your relationships. The vast majority of people, without realizing it, are visualizing every day, but they are visualizing what they don't want. They imagine debt, conflict, problems, failure. And then they wonder why life seems to be a constant struggle. The mind works like a powerful magnet. attracting whatever dominates your thoughts. If you continually see yourself as someone who is stuck, who struggles, who never gets ahead, guess what? You reinforce that identity and make it your reality. But if you start to visualize yourself as successful, confident, healthy, prosperous, even if it feels awkward at first, even if your current reality says otherwise, gradually, you begin to change. First on the inside, then on the outside. I remember a defining story from the start of my journey. I wanted to travel to an important seminar, but I didn't have enough money to cover the travel and registration, which at the time cost around £550 sterling. Instead of giving up, I decided to apply what I had been learning. Every day, I visualized myself inside that event, sitting in the front row, absorbing every word, talking to the people I admired. I felt the excitement, the gratitude, the absolute certainty that I was going to be there. And of course, I kept taking action, reaching out to people, looking for ways to make the trip possible. Just a few days before the event, an unexpected opportunity came up. I was invited to assist in organizing the seminar, in exchange for free entry and travel support. Coincidence? I call it a result of focused thought. It was the visualization, combined with consistent action, that opened that door. Now imagine if I had let fear or lack of money dominate my thinking. I probably would have quit before even trying. That's why I say, you must be more loyal to your vision than to your present circumstances. Circumstances change. Vision is what shapes those changes. Think now, what image do you carry of yourself? Do you see yourself succeeding? Thriving? Or do you see yourself trapped, limited, endlessly struggling? That image, more than anything else, is dictating the life you're experiencing. You must begin training your mind to see what doesn't yet exist in the physical world but is already completely real in your mental world. Each morning, as you wake, before checking your phone, before getting lost in the day's distractions, take a few minutes to visualize. See, in vivid detail, the life you are building. Feel the emotion of having already achieved it. Act as the person you visualize yourself to be. If you do this every day, something extraordinary will happen. Your actions, your words, your thoughts will start to align with that vision. You'll begin to notice opportunities you previously missed. You'll start attracting people, resources, and situations that match the new frequency you're emitting. And make no mistake, this isn't magic. This is applied science. Quantum physics has already proven that the energy we emit affects the environment around us. Your thoughts are energy. They shape your reality. So now ask yourself, what have I really been visualizing each day? And above all, what is it that I want to begin visualizing from today? The choice is yours. And so is the power. The life you dream of starts within your own mind. It's not about the circumstances, nor the time, nor luck. It's the firm decision to shift your mindset, to act with intention, and to visualize daily the reality you wish to build. You already have everything you need to begin. And every small, conscious step you take from this moment forward brings you closer to the life you were born to live. And speaking of next steps, now that you've understood this essential foundation, I'd like to invite you to watch the next video appearing on your screen. In that video, we'll climb one more step together in your journey of growth and wisdom, helping you become 1% better than you are right now. And believe me, 1% every day builds an extraordinary transformation. Thank you so much for being here with me today. I'll see you in the next video.